come across this question on the biology. Now, the first question is that Down syndrome is associated with abnormality in chromosome. These options were given: A 22, B 21, C 20, and D 33. Now, what do we mean by what a Down syndrome? There is what we call abnormality in chromosome. Abnormality in chromosome. Now, what does this abnormality in chromosome has to do about is that a place where the chromosome is supposed to split is not splitting, or a place where it's supposed to join together is not joining together. So these two here can cause an abnormality in the chromosome. Now, UTME are very tricky. A question under the chromosome is what itself can surface. Now, one thing we need to take note is that the chromosome is located inside the nucleus of the cell. Now, we have the total number of chromosomes in the human body is 46 chromosomes. They can ask that how many chromosomes does the human body possess? 46 chromosomes. But another question of such is that how many pairs of chromosome is present inside the human body? We have 23 pairs of chromosome. Please take note of these two. We have 46 chromosome and 23 pairs of chromosome. Now, how does this 46 chromosome? We are going to have XX from number 1 to number 22. We have XX. Now, you see, from number 1 to number 22 pairing of the chromosome, that is what we refer to as the autosomes. That is what we refer to as the autosomes. Now, the number 23, that's now going to distinguish where we have the XX for the female and we have the XY for the male. So this is what the number 23 is now what we call the sex chromosome. Now let me come again. I say the number 1 to number 22 is what we call the autosomes, while the number 23 pairs of chromosome is what we refer to as the sex chromosome. Now, what will now happen is that under Down syndrome, what do we first refer to as Down syndrome? A Down syndrome has to do with the mental inability of the brain to function. Anybody with Down syndrome, they are going to have a shorter neck. That neck is now going to be to be thick again. You will see that babies, those children, they will be behaving as someone that is not mental stable. Now, the chromosome that is now affected with Down syndrome is now the chromosome number 21. So the chromosome number 21, that is 21 here, we have XA. This chromosome here, we fail to separate. It's going to fail to separate. When it fails to separate, there is going to be abnormality of Down syndrome. Also, we should also take note that there are some syndrome known as the Turner syndrome, and we also known as the Klinefelter syndrome. Now, next class we are going to discuss that. Now, that is the answer to this is chromosome 21. Now, question 2. How many genotypes are produced by the ABO blood group typing? Now, what do we mean by the genotype? The genotype is what we call the genetic makeup of the individual human body. That is what we refer to as the genotype. Now let me come again. I say the genotype is the genetic makeup of the human body. Now, this question they now say according to the ABO blood group. Now, what do we have there? ABO blood group. They say how many genotype can we derive from this? Just take note, maybe in our next class we are going to take the whole concept of blood. We have the genotype A here, we have genotype B here, we have genotype AB, and we have genotype O, making it to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's take note, let's dive a little bit. You see this, our blood group O here, this is what we call the universal donor. Now, it should not take note. Actually, UTME will not ask you, is it positive or negative? Now, take note, the main universal donor is O negative. Now, this our AB here, we call it the what? Universal acceptor. Now we call it the universal acceptor. Now, which of the AB is not the universal acceptor is the AB what? Positive. The AB positive is the universal acceptor, while the main universal donor is what? O negative. But according to the UTME question of subsequent year, it's either they just write O or they write what? AB. Please take note of that, making for our correct answer. Now, the next question. The rate of photosynthesis is directly proportional to A. Chlorophyll. We have chlorophyll. B. CO2 level. C. Water level. And D. Oxygen what? Level. Now, what is photosynthesis itself? Photosynthesis is the process whereby green plants manufacture their own what? Food. And the presence of what? Sunlight energy. Now, we have the equation of photosynthesis to be 6,6O2 plus 6H2O. To now give me C6H12O6 plus 6O2. Now, what is reacting together? We are having carbon dioxide, we are having water. To now give us the food that is being produced, what is the food there? Glucose. And we are having also our what? Oxygen. This oxygen here is what we refer to as the what? The byproduct. The main product of photosynthesis is what? Is glucose. Now, the question I asked that the rate of photosynthesis is directly proportional to the what? To this. Now, you can see there is CO2 here, there is water here, which is going to make both CO2 level and water level to what? To be out of the option, because both of them are just the what? The reactant. Now, also, oxygen level. Oxygen is just the what? The product that's the what they produce. Now, our best option is the what? The chlorophyll. It is the chlorophyll that is going to determine the rate of what? Photosynthesis. Why? Because we have two stages of photosynthesis. We have the light stage and we have the what? Dark stage. The light stage occurs in the childlike coil, while the dark stage occurs in the what? The stroma. Now, so what we now need to take note is that under the light stage of photosynthesis, now there is what we call the photolysis of water. What do we refer to as photolysis of water? That is, the water is going to what? To split. Now, when water splits, it is going to give us hydrogen and oxygen as a what? As a byproduct. We have our H2O. When this thing splits here, we have H plus and what? OH minus. That's the word of fixing. Now, also, we are also going to have the excitation of the what? The chlorophyll. The excitation of the chlorophyll. What will happen to the excitation of the chlorophyll is that the sunlight energy is going to excite this what? Chlorophyll. That is now going to give us our energy. That energy now will now lead us to what we know as what? Phosphorylation. What do we mean by phosphorylation? Phosphorylation is just the addition of phosphate. Addition of what? Phosphate. Now, this is where we now have that ADP plus what? PI. We now give us what we know as what? ATP. Now, what happened here is that what? Adenosine diphosphate plus a single phosphate will now give us what we know as what? Adenosine triphosphate. One thing about this is due to the what? To the excitation of the what? The chlorophyll. So our answer here is the what? The chlorophyll. Now, question 4. Which of the following does not belong to the phylum Platyhelminths? This question has to do with the what? The invertebrate aspect of what? The living organism. Remember, we have what we call the what? The PCP mic. PCP what? Mic. Now, what we have here, this is what we call the what? The protozoa. We have the cnidarians here. We have the what? The Platyhelminths. Now, our question is subjected to the what? To the Platyhelminths. Now, under these Platyhelminths, those are what they refer to as the what? The flatworms. Now, in the Platyhelminths, some of the example that we have there, we have what we call Teniasolium. We have what we call Taenia saginata. We have Teniasolium. We have what we call Taenia saginata. We have what we call Fasciola hepatica. Fasciola hepatica. We also have Schistosoma. Now, these are the example of the word the Platyhelminth. Now, what do we refer to as the word the tenasonium? The tenasonium, that's what we call the word the tapeworm. Now, when we say the word the tenasonium, it is found majorly, we have them inside the word the pig. Now, while the tena saginata, we have them in the words in the cow. There is a common question that used to come down. What differentiates the tenasonium from the tena saginata? It is the presence of the word, the hook. Now, the tenasonium has the presence of what we call the word, the hook and sucker. While the tena saginata does not possess what? These two. Please take note of that. Now we have the word, the fasciola hepatica. What is being referred to as the fasciola hepatica? That is what we call the liver flux. Fasciola hepatica. While the schistosoma is what we refer to as the blood flux. That's why you will find out that when some people are passing out their stool, they are going to be the presence of blood here. Those people, there have been injection of what we call the schistosoma. If you look carefully from the explanation, we have tenia, we have fasciola hepatica, we have schistosoma. Now the wrong answer there is the trypanosomia. Where is the trypanosomia belong to? The trypanosomia is belonging to the protozoa. Now, what does this word trypanosomia word called? It's the one that causes what we know as the sleeping sickness, and that sleeping sickness is due to the presence of trypanosomia brucei. Trypanosomia brucei. So our answer there is the word trypanosomia. Now, the last question: which of the following group of plants lack any conducting tissue? Now, let's come to this. There is what we call, let's say, Shakiro, the biologist, planted sugarcane. What is this Shakiro here? We have it as the word schizophyta. Here we have talophyta. Here we have bryophyta. Here we have pteridophyta. And here we have spermatophyta. Now, the question under this has to do with the organization level of this plant. Which of the following group of plants lack any conducting tissue? Now, what we need to take note is that we need to know where each of these organisms, where are they belonging to? Now, our moss, it belongs to the bryophyta. We have the moss here. We now have the water leaf. The water leaf is found under the spermatophyta. We have the Magnifera indica, known as the mango, also found under the Magnifera indica. We now have the ferns. The ferns are found under the pteridophyta. Now, what do that mean by conducting tissue? The conducting tissue has to do with the xylem, and we also have the phloem. Now, it should take note that the bryophyta does not have the conducting tissue. The bryophyta does not have the conducting tissue. Also, they do not have what we call the true roots. They do not have what they call the true roots. The root of this bryophyta is referred to as what we call the rhizoid. So, in this place, since we said the bryophyta does not have the conducting tissue. Now, an example of those bryophyta is the moss. All these, the water leaf, Magnifera indica, and the ferns, they all have what we refer to as the conducting tissue. Our answer, moss, is the correct answer. So this is just a typical of the UTME question. I think with all these explanations, you should be able to tackle any question that come under this. Thank you very much.